This is the Hesaraghatta Grassland in Bengaluru. This is what Bengaluru city used to look like about 200 years ago. And today, this 5,000-acre space is the last remaining grassland around Bengaluru. But how long can it remain the same? On October 7, 2024, the State Wildlife Board approved a proposal to declare the Hesaraghatta grassland as a conservation reserve. This move is critical to protect the grassland and the fragile ecosystem that has existed for centuries. The proposed 5,000-acre Greater Hesaraghatta Conservation Reserve includes a 347-acre grassland, a 1,000-acre scrub jungle, and a 1,500-acre Hesaraghatta Lake bed. The rest of the land is owned by the Department of Animal Husbandry and Veterinary Services. A survey commissioned by the Karnataka Biodiversity Board in July 2013 found 133 species of birds, more than 10 species of mammals, butterflies, and millions of insects. Some of these species are on the verge of extinction or are critically endangered.
We consider these habitats that are open fields with short grass as grasslands. And grasslands are important in many ways. One, they are native habitats here. This is how they always have been. Grasslands support incredible levels of biodiversity. Everything from tiny insects to large mammals like jackals and foxes can be found in these unique habitats. Some of the iconic examples are, there was a butterfly called the lilac silverline, which was rediscovered from this grassland after a gap of about 100 years in 2012. There were also birds such as the lesser florican, which is globally endangered. I mean, it's found only in India and it's endangered in multiple parts of where it's found. In 2012, one of the photographers accidentally stumbled upon this bird, which again was sighted here after a span of about 100 years. Just last month, there was a new species of a beetle that was described from the Hesaraghatta grasslands. In terms of mammals, we get things like the slender loris, which is found sort of in the wooded habitats in this landscape. Occasionally, you also get a leopard that's using this landscape foraging.
No other megacity in India has a grassland within it. In Bengaluru, Hesaraghatta acts as the second largest lung space after the Bannerghatta National Park. Despite its unique stature, the process to have the grassland declared as a conservation reserve has not been easy. The campaign began in 2012. K.S. Sheshadri and other environmentalists started to notice unregulated movement of photographers and others through the area. Worried at these intrusions into this fragile ecosystem, Sheshadri and other environmentalists got together to save the grassland.
Ramki, Mahesh, myself and Dr. Krishna MB met together and we came up with an idea to propose this area as a conservation reserve. And Mahesh, who has been living in this landscape for many years, was able to pinpoint locations which are government lands. And we were able to make a quick map about all these landscapes, and then we went to the Forest Department with the proposal. And then the Forest Department did a mapping exercise. They looked at survey numbers and they were able to make a comprehensive map, and which is what led to the proposal that was submitted in 2013.
In 2021, 8 years after the proposal was submitted to the Forest Department, it came up before the State Wildlife Board for approval, but it hit a snag. The Hesaraghatta grassland is a part of the Yelahanka Assembly constituency, but S.R. Vishwanath, the MLA of the constituency, objected to the proposal. Following this, it was also rejected by the State Wildlife Board.
But along the way, there was this misinformation campaign that said they're going to acquire your lands, or there was a campaign that said there are going to be restrictions on the roads that pass through this landscape. And this really creates a sense of fear among people. And in hindsight, we realized that we could have gone back and done it differently. If we could go back and do this differently, go back to 2013, we would want to engage with the local people, engage with the local administration, work with the local governing bodies, make them part of the proposal rather than doing it sort of in a top-down approach. But I think I think some of these misinformation campaigns were handled especially when the State Wildlife Board hearing was happening. We sort of wrote an open document where we highlighted some of the misinformation that was being spread and gave out factual information so people could make their own decision. People could make their own informed decisions, and I hope to think that it helped in the process of getting it declared.
Soon after, the environmentalists filed a PIL in the Karnataka High Court. The High Court directed the board to reconsider the proposal.
Conservation reserve, as per law, is a protection accorded to that piece of land where commercial building activities, huge buildings, factories, etc., cannot happen. Only the government lands, the state government lands, can be declared as conservation reserve. So there is no private land. The private lands are not affected, but the government land gets a layer of protection, and therefore the chance of ecological protection is far more than not having it.
Finally, in 2024, the State Board of Wildlife, headed by the Chief Minister, approved the proposal. What happens next? Before it can be cleared by the Cabinet, the Forest Department will prepare a management plan for the grassland. This will be sent along with the proposal to the Cabinet. Once the Cabinet clears it, the government can issue an order for the conservation of the grassland. The villagers around Hesaraghatta have mixed opinions regarding the move. Back in 1890, nearly 25 villages were displaced during the creation of the Hesaraghatta Lake. This lake was meant to provide water to Bengaluru. Now, the villagers adjoining Hesaraghatta fear that their land will be taken away again. Concerns about the zoning laws are also on the top of their mind. Most of the land here is under the green belt, which can be used only for agricultural activities. Any hope to convert this into a yellow zone is starting to dwindle. This change would allow the construction of smaller commercial establishments.
ಈಗ ನಾವು ಈ ಭಾಗದಾಗ ಒಂದು 25 ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಾಗೇ ಉಳಿದವೆ. ಇವು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಝೋನಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಝೋನಿಗಿರೋ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯ ನಮಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲೇ ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಲೇಔಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, 1 to double ರೇಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳೋರಿಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ಹೊಣೆ? ಯಾವ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿನೂ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಪೇಪರು ಟಿ ವಿಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರೈತರಿಗೇನು ಸರಿಯಾದ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳೋರು ಯಾರು, ಕೇಳೋರು ಯಾರು? ಸರ್, ಅವರು ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮದೇನು ತಕರಾಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮಗೆ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ನಾವು ರೈತರಾಗೇ ಇರಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲಿ, ಬೇರೆ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವರು ಇದು ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇಲ್ಲೊಳ್ಳೆ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಇದಿರಬೇಕು, ಅವಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಊರೆಲ್ಲ ರೋಡ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ರೋಡ್ ಕನ್ವೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಅವ್ರು ಒಳಗಡೆ ರೋಡ್ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೇನು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. ನೀವೇನು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ.
ಇವತ್ತು 5100 ಎಕರೆ ಸಂರಕ್ಷಿತ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವು ದನ ಕರ ಸಾಕಿರೋರು, ಕುರಿ ಮೇಕೆ ಸಾಕಿರೋರು ಮೇಯಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಸರ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋದ್ರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಈ ಒಂದು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾನೂ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡು ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಈ 5010 ಎಕರೆ ಏನು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಿತ ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಆಗಿದೆ ತುಂಬ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಸರ್ ನಮಗೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಲ್ಬಾಗು ಕಬ್ಬನ್ ಪಾರ್ಕ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇದೆಯೋ ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರದೇಶ ಇದು ಈ ಉಳುವರಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂತಂದರೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನಾಂಗಕ್ಕೆ, ಮುಂದಿನ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ಇವತ್ತು ಅನೇಕ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು ವಲಸೆ ಬರ್ತಾವೆ. ಅವು ಬಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಇರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳನ್ನ ಮುಂದಿನ ಜನಾಂಗಕ್ಕೆ, ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಗೂಗಲಲ್ಲೇ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿ ಇಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಇಂಥ ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಅಂತ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಇವತ್ತು ಅವು ಕಾಡನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಡಿದು ನಾಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ ಇರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಗ?
Until the management plan is implemented, the Hesaraghatta grassland remains vulnerable. Frequent incursions by visitors have left deep car trails on the terrain, which have turned into permanent tracks. The hardened earth makes it difficult for new grass shoots to emerge, destabilizing the fragile ecosystem of the grassland.
Some of the other smaller things that have a big impact that we see in Hesaraghatta are things like if you see the road behind me, there are people, enthusiasts who own motorbikes, fancy mountain bikes, and they want to take it out for a spin, and unfortunately they start driving them around grasslands, on termite mounds and destroying habitat. That sort of damages the ecosystem. It makes, in ecology we call it habitat degradation, which leads to a suboptimal habitat. So if there was a bird that had to forage 10 square kilometers to catch 5 insects, because of all the habitat degradation, the bird will now have to go 20 square kilometers to get the same 5 insects that it needs. Eventually, this is going to have a cascading effect on their ability to forage, their ability to reproduce, their ability to migrate, and gradually this will end towards extinction of a species from this landscape.
Hesaraghatta is close to many green corridors like the Nandi Hills, Hoskote Grassland, Jarakabande Forest, and many more small green patches. These green corridors are critical to animal and bird movement, and subsequently their existence. Despite its rapid urbanization, Bengaluru needs to protect these green spaces as part of its urban landscape ecology. Each of these habitats are unique and they provide climate resilience for a city like Bengaluru.